Hello, I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic, and today we are testing the Xiaomi 15T to see what it's really capable of in photography. I've got about 150 test photos to show you, from the picturesque streets of Germany to the autumn scenes of Prague, all in HDR. We'll see who's the most likely to appreciate this phone and how it compares to its more powerful sibling, the Xiaomi 15T Pro. As usual, we'll start by checking out the camera system. Obviously, the most important part of it is the main lens, main sensor. It has 23mm, 50 megapixels, and here are some of examples of shots taken with that lens. And some of them are slightly zoomed, but still they are taken with the main lens. This is from Munich in Germany, or just from a coffee house here in Prague. And I should add, as always, that all these shots are unedited, so you can see them in the quality as I did in my mobile phone. Plus, all these shots are in HDR. It means that you can clearly see that the lights are really shining and Prague at night, still with the main lens, main sensor. Then, of course, we have the telephoto lens. It has 46mm, 15 megapixels, and yes, of course, we should probably say right here that if you ask me what is the biggest difference between 15T and 15T Pro, then it would be the telephoto lens, because this is only 2 times lens, whereas the 15T Pro offers you 5 times zoom, which, yes, of course, makes difference. We'll see more details about the comparison and zooming in a couple of minutes. This is just a brief introduction to the telephoto, which, as I already mentioned, has 46mm and 2 times zoom. And of course, please do not forget about the third lens, third sensor, which is ultra wide. And here are some examples again from Munich, Germany, and beautiful light. If you are watching this on a good display, you'll see the HDR effect, the bright sun, or interesting shining colors here back in Prague. So again, these are just a couple of examples from the ultra wide lens. That review wouldn't make much sense without mentioning the sibling, which I already did. It's Xiaomi 15T Pro. And the key difference is that it has 5 times zoom, which allows us to really see to big distance, take shots of details here at the church in Prague, or even some wildlife shots do make sense, like here. So my advice will always be, if you have the extra money, please consider the Pro, because the difference, to be honest, with the zoom is really significant. If you do not need to zoom though, then be relaxed, because shots like that can be easily done with the non-Pro version we are reviewing here today. So these are examples from 15T Pro, and I think it's time to go back to the 15T. So the telephoto lens offers only 2 times zoom, but still, as you can see from these examples from the main square in Munich, Germany, you are still able to go up to 60, which means that the level of details is quite impressive. So here again, Munich, and we go, and of course this is a deep digital zoom, so the magnification is not perfect, but still, if you see how far it is, it's still sort of amazing. So do not be afraid that you won't be able to zoom. No, just, well, the comparison can be somehow painful. One more example from Prague, from the place you might have seen in my previous reviews. Again, we are going closer and closer and closer. At a certain point, of course, the digital zoom is not as good as we would like it to be, but frankly, I do not really need to zoom to that distances often, so this is just a comparison. A brief note about Leica's styles. As always, we have to decide whether we'll be using Leica's Authentic, which has less intensive colors, and Leica's Vibrant. which is here. What was the case quite often in the past, that the vibrant was really saturated, sometimes too much. But now I have the feeling it's much less aggressive, so you can easily use it as the main style without any risks. One more example of what can be achieved with that mobile phone is so-called Pro mode, in which you are able to set exposure time and play with things like panning when the background is blurred, whereas the tram or the bike is perfectly sharp. By the way, I had to cover the face of the guy because it was clearly visible, which is to a certain extent fantastic. Same here. And now let's do the trip to Prague and Munich, and we are starting here in Munich, Germany again. And I quite like that set of examples because it's easy to illustrate what actually HDR is. It means that the sun is really very clearly visible, the clouds are shining, and the effects is simply there. So do not forget to use it, and do not be surprised that once you share the photo or download the photo, the HDR effect disappears quite often. And let's go further, and as always I have to apologize because I'm moving ahead really quickly. Sometimes you write to me and asking why don't you just stop, and I'm just telling my viewers, please do not be too critical about that, because what I really want to achieve is to push dozens and dozens test photos to your eyes, so you are able to see what to expect, you are able to view what you'll be getting once you buy that phone. And this is from the launch of 15 series in Munich, and the details of one of the Xiaomi's cars. So ultra wide shots, details. And now we jumped to autumn here in Prague, to beautiful colors, amazing light, a lot of green and blue and yellow. So once more, these are examples of what to expect once you just venture to the nature or streets of Prague or parks of Prague. And again, I can't really say I was surprised because I was expecting that the results would be like that after testing 15T Pro. But still, I believe this is a really pretty good mobile for those who do not want to invest a lot of money, who do not need to zoom to really huge distances, but they still want to have pretty decent results. We are testing in Prague, so the beer can't be avoided. And let's go back to complicated light, beautiful parks in the center of Prague, and we go through the streets and park of Prague and to coffee houses. And again, I'm really going in a huge pace, but I want you to see as many examples in very different lights. And if you are a photographer, you know that it's not easy for the sensor to capture things like that and give you good results even under such complex and complicated light. So for me, it's quite important to mention it. And now we jump to the mountains of Moravia, and again, I'm taking some shots from beautiful, colorful day. And I just mentioned that you can live without the telephoto lens. You can, but I really honestly have to admit that since I was testing 15T just a couple of days after 15T Pro, my fingers were still jumping to telephoto, so I did indeed miss the 5x zoom. The point is, if you do not need it, you won't regret buying that phone, but quite frankly, quite openly, if you have some extra money, just do buy 15T Pro. Let's go back to ground and let's be polite to the piece we are reviewing here today. Of course, without zoom you can easily live, and the colors are beautiful. Results would be rather pleasing for really broad range of photographers. So again, I do indeed believe that 15T is a good choice for those who do not want to invest a lot of money but still want to have pretty decent shots. And yes, this is my camera Nikon FM2, which is one of the most famous, iconic cameras of past decades. So it's a bit of provocation to shoot it with a mobile phone, but still. Beautiful happy dog in the parks of Prague, some details. And I didn't actually mention that I'm using portrait mode for many of these shots, but we somehow got used that the portrait mode is really naturally part of what we do. Some details, flowers, and I suggest we wrap up the review, the photo part of it, here on one of my favorite places in Prague. The light was not that exciting like before, but still you can feel that even during night photography the Xiaomi 15T is giving us pretty good results, so you won't definitely be disappointed. Prague Castle once more, and pavement after rain here in Prague. And final 3 or 4 shots. This is Old Town Square during a fantastic festival of lights, signal festival, and amazing chance to test what to expect from this mobile phone. And now, as always, let me show you a couple of examples of videos. What I am doing right now is that I am just letting you to create your own opinion, because I am not good at evaluating videos. So do not ask me if it's better compared to this or that mobile phone. I am not sure. What you can clearly see from these examples is that you won't definitely be disappointed. That again, it's a sort of results you would be expecting to get. One important detail though, if you want to enjoy the colors and bright light of these HDR videos, you have to activate the button HDR 10+. If you do it, you get all these amazing colors and lights. So, thank you so much for your attention. I hope I gave you some inspiration. Take care. I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic.